Hello. Hey, 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 hey. Hello. Hey, how are you doing? Welcome to Project Glow's Sunday night self-care session. I'm just going to have a look who's here and who's saying hi. Hello. Hey, hey, hey. Hello. How you doing? Thank you for coming on to tonight's show with me, and thank you for all your questions. I really love getting your questions because that makes it so much easier to construct the show. So it's really lovely. Let me just see who else is here. Who else is here? Hi, how you doing? All right, tonight, give me a heart or a wave. We'll say hi. Gosh, I have had one heck of a week. I don't know if you guys are into astrology. My, oh my, it has been, the energy, and it all kind of culminates today. There's a trine. I don't know exactly which planets they are, but it's been all about digging up the things that you haven't dealt with in relationships, both within yourself and within your relationship. And it's brought it all up, and I have had a week, and thank you so much for all the people that have been my sounding boards, because even a coach needs a coach. So it's really good to sound things out. So thank you so much for being there for me. It was one amazing ride. So I'm going to share with you a little bit later about exactly what happened in my week, and actually pertains really particularly to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic, let it go, let it go. That Disney song is, oh my God, it's stuck in my head for so long. One of the things in personal development that I get very about is this idea of that you're done with something. When you're done with something, when you're over it, hashtag you've let it go, then it really doesn't occupy any amount of space in your mind. You wouldn't be thinking about it, but it also wouldn't be under the radar, influencing your life, coming up as patterns again and again and again. So the first thing that I say when people ask me, well, what is the stuff that I need to work on? Well, the stuff that is up front on the surface is always the stuff you need to work on. So this particular topic I've worked on again and again and again, and it's just recently come back up again. And I want to talk a little bit about what it actually takes to hear the message of the universe. So if you're new to the show, by the way, this is a show that is based on the idea that everything has meaning. So you can either live in a universe where absolutely everything is random and nothing has meaning, or you follow the route of spirituality and personal development and you make the assumption that everything has meaning. Everything has structure, everything has a sequence, and everything has meaning. So coming from the perspective of the fact that things have a meaning, in that line of thought and in the work that I do, the stuff that comes up, basically your obstacles, your challenges, and your challengers are there for a reason. And that's why on this particular one, I started with purpose. The purpose of any kind of difficulty that you're facing is to alert you to something that you need to learn. Because one of my favorite places to go on the planet are bowling alleys. I'm a bit mad about bowling, indoor bowling, 10-pin bowling. And if you've ever gone, you realize that there are those railings on the side, for the kiddies. They have those kiddie props where you can roll the ball down, and then you have the railings that come up at the side. Now, if you didn't know anything about 10-pin bowling, you would assume that the railings are actually restrictions. But lo and behold, when those railings are up, bam, those kiddos hit those 10 pins and usually get a strike. So the things that look like they are restricting you are actually making sure that you hit the jackpot at the end, because your life is about taking you from here to here, from where you are today to your most inspired destiny, your highest potential. How on earth are you going to get there? Well, we are human beings. Well, or if you'd like to think, we are spiritual beings in human bodies. And generally, like it or not, we generally only really learn when things are really tough. And as children, those of you that have children, you've seen this, fall down, get back up, fall down, get back up, bump your head, don't bump your head, run up again. So generally we learn through trial and error and running into obstacles and overcoming them. And so your universe, your life, let me just turn down the light a little so that I don't go starry-eyed. Your life is there to grow you from A to B. And so every single day and throughout your life, you will have equal challenges and equal support. I'm just trying to see, I don't have it up here, but the yin and yang sign is basically the pictorial diagram of what your life is in total. On the one side, you have the dark bit, on the other side, the light bit, and they are pushing up against each other. And in the middle of that spot, you are growing upwards. So challenge on the one side, push, support on the other side, hold, and up and up and up and up you go. Or like at the bowling alley, the restrictions are making sure, bam, you hit the strike, you hit your inspired destiny. So the first place that we need to go to, and this is assuming you've already done what we discussed last week, which was step 1 is always emotional first aid. Because when you're really in the thick of things, there is absolutely no way when something really terrible and really shocking has just happened that I can say to you, hey, so what do you think the meaning and the purpose of this? Let me tell you, in my absolutely darkest, hardest moments, I think I would have probably punched people if they said to me, if somebody said to me, oh gosh, somebody's just broken up with you. Why do you think that happened? There is a time, a space, and a place for that. And right at the epicenter of when something really shocking and terrible has happened to you, you need to just self-care, a lot of it. And as I said last week, if it's really, really shocking, you need to first make sure that you're safe. Tell someone straight away what's happened. Make sure that they take you to a very safe place. Because one of the things that happened to me, so one of the major breakups in my life, I really didn't see it coming at all. And I thought I was just going to go for a walk. I ended up walking for hours and hours and I lost track of time. And eventually the police came along and picked me up and took me home because I was literally discombobulated. Because when your mind goes into shock, you can lose track of time and you can really be in a place where you don't know where you are. So step 1, watch last week's thing about emotional first aid kit. First, just love yourself. Like, what would you do for a friend that just had an enormous shock, or a child that's in your care? Lots of love and care, Netflix, chocolate, lots of deep breathing, lots of hugs and cuddles, and maybe a puppy or a kitten or 2. Okay, so when that has passed and you are in a safe place, a couple of days, a week, whenever you're ready to talk about the meaning and the purpose of what's just happened, because remember, like the railings, it's all in the right place. You can start the conversation either with yourself or with a coach like me, or if you know a couple of tools, like for instance, the Demartini method that so many of you know. We start to explore these questions that I wrote down on the course notes. So what is the purpose? What is the lesson? What is the blessing, the meaning, and the gift of what's just happened? So I kind of put it under an umbrella term, the purpose of this really difficult time, this really difficult experience, or this really difficult person is to deliver an experience of growth to you. So first of all, that should give you something of, I was going to say, it can't calm you down because it's still terrible and difficult and sometimes you just want to scream and cry. But first of all, just breathe into that. Okay, so it's not just this random terrible thing that happened. No, it's here for a purpose, and its purpose is growth. So just breathe into that. So right now, I just want you to think about this really difficult thing that is currently happening to you, or this really difficult person that is currently challenging you. Just breathe into that and go, okay, so, all right, it's here. It's here for a reason. It's here to grow me. It's here to stretch me. It's here to make sure that I hit my inspired destiny. So all the things that I really, really want for myself in my life, whether that is, whether that's a relationship or a job or a family or a business or travel or anything you really want, your life has set it up so that the only way you can get from here to here is this particular experience. So this particular experience that you're experiencing now is the boing springboard towards the thing that you really want. So let's kind of start asking it from a different perspective. So if this is the thing that is growing me towards my highest inspired destiny, I wonder how this is helping me. How is this actually helping me? How is this growing me? That's the first thing that I want you to ponder on. And I will write this in the show notes. You can always look at this later and start going to this question. So ideally, this entire sequence, the purpose, the lesson, the blessing, the meaning, and the gift, it's a whole day workshop. And it's not something I can explore in detail tonight. But also, I quite like that we're just touching on the topics, because this can be a big journey going right down and drilling into the purpose of something, especially something big, like a relationship breaking up or redundancy or a grief or a loss. You kind of want to go a bit gently on yourself when you're starting to explore this. But the next thing you want to be looking at is, what lesson is this delivering to you? So I'm going to tell you the story of mine. So a number of times in my life now, and I really can't ignore it anymore, people have just out of the blue, without any sort of warning or explanation, cut me off. Just bam, out of nowhere. It's happened to me at work, it's happened to me in friendships, it's happened to me in relationships. I mean, this is one of those patterns where the universe, it isn't even giving me little lessons anymore. It's now starting to walk around with a foghorn going, Stephanie, my darling, we are still doing this. Is this because you still haven't got it? So first of all, don't beat yourself up about it if something like this happened to you and you have a pattern of attracting the same experience all over again and again, or perhaps the same type of person again and again. You're literally peeling the onion of a lifetime here. And certainly I'm nowhere where I was 1, 2, 3 decades ago. I have learned so much, because every time this thing happens again, I go into a deeper place of learning. But the most important thing that you need to do when this comes is, what is the lesson it's trying to teach you? And the perfect question to ask is, when you think about what this experience is doing, and if you point the finger, so in my case, these people, remember when you're pointing a finger, 1, 2, 3 fingers pointing back at you, because the lesson, the blessing, and the purpose is coming back to you straight in that moment where you go, you have cut me off, you have abandoned and rejected me. Just take the letter I and put it in front of that sentence. I have continuously, without warning and no explanation, cut me off, rejected me, and abandoned me. Now, when you first start to think about it, your brain, or rather your ego, is going to go, I don't think so. I haven't done this. No. I have not done this to myself. And then just sink into that place. Where or how have you done this to yourself? So in my case, where have I continuously cut myself off and without warning or explanation just abandoned myself? And the hard cold truth is, because of my life and my childhood and the way that my life expanded, I am really good at not being emotionally available or authentic to myself. Because the way that my childhood was set up and my experiences set me up is that my system likes to always hold it all together, because I felt, sorry, I've got cat hair on my cheek. I've been snuggling my kitty cat. Because in my life, it wasn't safe to feel. It wasn't safe to express. I'm not going to go into the details of why. But in my growth experience as a person, the idea that I could be open and authentic with how I felt, whether that was scared or angry, that was just not on. So I developed this kind of like shutdown thing, to the extent that I didn't even know that I was doing it. So what happens again and again and again, on the outside, I get messages and experiences that show me, like a mirror, what I'm already doing it to myself. And like I said on the show notes, until you have 100% gratitude for something, so you're completely grateful for both the lesson, the blessing, the meaning, the purpose, and the gift of it, and you are able to hold yourself and love yourself through that experience, and nothing going to shift. And that's why the pattern comes up again, and you're just not done with it. So the lesson is reflection. Look at the reflection. Now do that by yourself. Get a coach, write it down, write I in front of it. Where do I continuously do X, Y, Z to myself? And then really just sink into that and go, wow, yeah, it's trying to show me something that I'm doing for myself. And that this week has been, because I had to look at it again and look at it. Yep, okay, so where am I not being authentic really about how angry I am, or how devastated I feel, or how I'm still hurt about things that happened a really long time ago, but we try to suck it up and get on with it. And also, like me, maybe you felt this before, after years and years and years, decades too now, of doing personal development, kind of like, is it really cool to say, you know what, I am actually still really hurt. I'm really, 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 really hurt. And then love that part of myself, the part that's still hurt, the part that's still not done. Oh, that was a journey and a half this week. Just kind of going, you know what, there are actually things I'm really, really still really hurt about. And that there's a couple of things happening here that are really, really not okay with me. And I don't know if you are as well, I'm in a habit of giving up on myself. That's because of my childhood, that's because of culture. Culture teaches us women to self-sacrifice. Also, biologically, we're set up to self-sacrifice for children. And so generally, we repeatedly do this. We repeatedly give up on ourselves for relationships. That's the number one place. For our children, it's all about them and not about us. And also at work, we do exactly the same. So I need to watch myself quite carefully all the time. Let's move through it. Wherever you have an obstacle, there's always a complete opposite. So at the moment that somebody's doing something to you, somebody is always delivering the opposite. That's how the quantum works. So as soon as I looked at, okay, somebody again has abandoned me, rejected me, just cut me off without any explanation or warning, what's the opposite? The opposite is that somebody is, it's the opposite to you really. So the opposite is who's moving towards you, who's supporting you, who's there, who's really listening to you, who's acknowledging you, how you feel. So when somebody rejects you, who's not rejecting you but coming towards you? When somebody is abandoning you, who's coming towards you? When somebody's cutting you off, who's staying the course with you? When somebody is, what did I not cover? When somebody just without explanation just runs away, who is really in the trenches working it out, talking it out with you? Because the one cannot exist without the other. So remember, there's always a purpose to something happening. There's always a lesson, and the lesson is usually the reflection. Then there's always a blessing, because the opposite has to be there. Remember, light and dark is pushing you up. The one cannot exist without the other. It just is not possible. So where's the blessing? Who or what is doing the opposite? Because it just doesn't happen. Right, the meaning. What is the meaning of this situation in the greater sequence of your life? So why has this come along? Why now? Why in this particular moment, or in this particular wrapper, if you like? Because always in life, whatever's in front of you is delivering something to you that you need to go on to this next level. Okay, so the meaning for me is that I am still not as far as I thought I was in the self-love department. Because if somebody cutting me off like that is still putting that kind of jump in my system, then there's a couple of things I'm not yet all that clear upon. I'm going to cover most of that in an overview next week. It's because actually it's so difficult to really be in the 100% Zen all the time. Because remember, you are a spirit and you are a human being, and we oscillate between the two. We're always somewhere between complete meltdown or complete duality, so a life that exists between good and bad, light and dark, and then in a place where everything is already perfect. But you will oscillate between those two places. So whenever something comes along like that, the meaning is that you have ventured too far into the side of black and white, right and wrong, up and down, and you need to venture back into the side of life that says everything is already here for a purpose. Light and dark are always happening at the same time. There is nothing out of place. Everybody's doing the best they can. And this is what I call the truth and language of the universe. I'm going to cover that next week in the Sunday night self-care session. Because when you venture away, when you're veering off, and it's not about veering off a path, because you are always on the path. You're always on track. There is no such thing as off track. But what you can be off is when you start veering off too much off the truth and the language of the universe. And if you're going into what a lot of Eastern mythologies call the illusion or Maya, actually what you need to be is right in the middle. Understand that there is ego and spirit, that there is really a duality that exists for our ego. I'm going to talk a lot more about this. Don't you worry if this doesn't make any sense. But what the meaning when something like that comes up that makes you jump or angry, or an email that gets you going, it's all about bringing you back into the truth of the universe and the language that it speaks. Because in today's world, in personal development, we've all seen the lovely, lovely, lovely quotes. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You just have to love yourself. The messages are out there, but nobody has taught you the language of the universe so that you can actually hear. You can hear the meaning and you can actually incorporate it. So many of my clients tell me, I've read all the books and I've been on to all the courses, but it just hasn't gone in. And that's because you are well aware of the message, but you haven't yet learned the language. So it's like going on holiday into this beautiful place and you just hear, wow, what. And it sounds so lovely and you go, gosh, that sounds absolutely lovely. And maybe you try to, say a couple of those things, what, but it just doesn't go in because you haven't learned the language of the universe. I'm going to cover that next week on Sunday. Okay, so we've had the purpose, the lesson, the blessing, the meaning, and every obstacle, challenge, or challenger brings you a gift. And the gift is that it redirects you. So this thing has come in, has smacked you through the face energetically, and has ever so slightly changed the trajectory of your path. And as a result of this new trajectory, you'll be meeting new people, you'll be doing new things, because you're no longer heading in that direction. Whoop! You're now heading in this direction. This is the direction towards your inspired destiny. So the benefit of this whole situation is that you're aligned with where you're heading now, and there's going to be new things new things that you have to face, but also lovely new things that will come into your life. So there's things that you'll have to face that you're probably not that good at, or maybe something that you need to look at. So sometimes things come in. For instance, sometimes you find that people or situations come in to bully you, that alert you to something that you haven't thought of before. Maybe, you're smacked with a tax bill. Woo! That's because you haven't paid attention to your money. Or somebody bullies you at work is because you haven't really been honest and truthful to yourself about your boundaries and whether that job is really right for you. So every situation, no matter how devastating, and trust me, I have had my fair share of those pesky things, is every situation comes with a gift. And so when you then can see from a higher perspective that every single obstacle, every single challenge, every single challenger brings you this immense amount of growth and this gift and this message, that's when you drill down into it. That's how you actually become grateful for something. Because only until you get to that place when you can say, you know what, I can totally see how this has come to grow me, and it's always in balance with something that supports me, and actually it's changed my direction, but there's been so many gifts because now I'm taking care of this, and I'm really facing this, and this area that I haven't paid attention to, I'm now getting really, really strong at. That's how you become grateful for something, because actually the truth is most people just squash these things. They just say, oh, time will heal it. Time will not heal anything until you actively step into healing it yourself. It just doesn't happen. It'll get squashed to the bottom of your subconscious, and there it will nicely fester, and then you get all sorts of trouble in other places like health and stress, and oh my God, the universe is so much on your side, your body is so much on your side that it will bring it up again and again and again and again. And your job is to turn around and lean into it and go, I completely love and accept myself for being where I am, so there's no judgment. Love whatever comes up. I'm going to put a link below about a great YouTube channel by a chap called Matt Kahn. He talks all about, in first line, just love what is, and then love your impatience with it, and love your anger with it. So if you're angry that you're still in this place, and trust me, this week I was livid. I'm like, I can't believe it. How many more years do I have to work at this? Just lean in and go, sweetheart, I know how hard you've worked. I know how sore this is. I know how devastating it is that we are here again, and this hurts so much. And when you've really done looking after yourself, and when you're ready, and that might take an entire season of The Crown on Netflix, or at least 3 tubs of Häagen-Dazs ice cream, your system will let you know when it's time to take out the paper, call your coach, listen to that audiobook again, and start going, so if it is here, what is it here to give me? What purpose, lesson, blessing, meaning, and gift has come to awaken me to the fact that there is more to me, and that I need to have certain insights and certain realizations to alert me to my higher self and to be on track to this inspired destiny. You don't have to worry that you're not going to get it, because the fact is that the universe is always going to keep you on track. Whether or not you realize or do the work is actually not the important bit. It's just there to make your journey nicer. You're still going to be on the journey. You're still going to get there. This idea that we do personal development so that nothing happens ever again. I'm sorry, I'm going to pop that balloon for you, because things are here to grow you. Stuff is still going to happen. The reason why we do this personal development is to enjoy the ride and to not freak out, because when you freak out, I don't know about you, but then the coping behavior comes up, and then you need to eat or drink or this or shop or exercise, and that just takes you off your creativity. your compassion, both for yourself and others, and you just end up in crocodile mode where you react from your, have you heard that, reptilian brain, or you react from your crocodile and you snap at people, and that's just going to be even more uncomfortable. So the only way to truly, I'm not a good singer, so let it go, let it go. The only way you can possibly ever let things go is if you are 100% grateful, and that means digging down into the meaning, the lesson, the purpose, the gift, and the blessing. And then also just loving it, because you're a mind and a heart. The job of the mind is to see the perfection in what's happening to you. And the job of the heart is to love you through it and just go, you know what? I'm going to be here for you. If you're angry, mad, if you're sad, if you want to cry when you're working through it, I'm going to love you through the whole thing. And I'm going to be there for you. And I am going to be there for you whether you think you're getting this right or not. That's called really loving yourself. So it's letting go requires you to lean towards your obstacle and really understanding the significance, but also really loving and supporting your process through it. And I hope that makes sense. So to wrap this session up, I would like you just to complete your gratitude for this week. And we're not going to do any type of gratitude. We're just going to be grateful for the obstacles that this week has brought you. And drill down, really go to town. What obstacles have happened to you? Maybe you'd like to share some of your obstacles for this week. I've told you some of mine. And really, how have those obstacles grown and stretched you? That's really the key thing. You know, so many people just dance around gratitude. Oh, I'm grateful for the flowers and the bees and the sunshine. Dive down, be grateful for the really difficult things that have happened to you, because they're here to line you up with your inspired destiny. The next thing that we do every Sunday night is set an intention, an inspired intention. And you can break that down into who do you want to be next week? What do you want to do next week? And what experience do you want to attract into your life? Because if you're just kind of like randomly going around, the energy is going to be random as well. So use the power, the energetic power that you have, and set an intention. What do you want to be, do, have, or experience in the coming week? Right at the bottom, we need to take an action step. Now, I am not sure about you, but if I have a to-do list that is as long as my arm, I get nothing done. So chunk it down, put down 1 to 3 action things that you have to tick off your list this week. Just less is more, less is more. And then back that right up with habits. Self-care habits are super, super important. So I have a lot of self-care habits about water. Let me just drink some. I have self-care habits about breath work. I talked a lot about that in last week's self-care session. You need to track your habits. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in the week to come, because if you just go, yeah, I'm going to drink more water, it's really not going to happen. I don't know how many times you've said, I said I'm going to drink more water for years and years and years. But until I actually set out exactly how much water I'm going to drink, where the water is going to stand, how am I going to check that I've done it, set an alarm. There's a great app called Waterlog, by the way, and I use it. So it alerts me all the time to drink water. But if you just kind of nebulously go, oh, I'm going to take care of myself better this week, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to share tips with you, not next week, because next week I'm doing the language of the universe, but the week after about how to actually make self-care habits stick. And that's going to be in 2 weeks' time. So that's it from me today. Thank you for being on the show with me. Remember to send me your messages and questions, because I really want to tailor these shows to your needs. And thank you so much for those of you that sent me the messages about how do I actually let things go? How do I see why something has come into my life? And how do I actually understand a recurring pattern that's happening again and again and again and again? So thank you very much for joining me on tonight's Sunday night self-care session, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday at 9 p.m. and I'm going to be in the comments and chat to you for the next half an hour. So make sure you say hi and let me know what you liked and what you want to see more of, and remember to send me those questions. Take care. Bye bye.